All right, we're live, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Fights Unwrapped. We have my two co-hosts to the left and right of me. We got Alec Carr and we got Dustin Hunt. And we have a show for you guys. We have some major headlines, one major headline in particular, and then we're going to go into UFC 274. But before that, obviously, we got to talk about our sponsors real quick. Carlos Condit, I really missed you in the Octagon, my man, but, you're a huge proponent of RxHemp.com for anybody who has CBD needs and stuff like that. Please go to RxHemp.com, and we have a promo code RxHemp-USN to get 10% off your entire order. As well, if anyone is betting on this pay-per-view this week, we have mybookie.ag. We got a promo code for you, USN100, for a 100% sign-up bonus if you use that today. All right, so we're gonna start off with probably our second biggest headline. What's called? Let me bring it up right here. Okay, Tony Ferguson always has. Oh, thank you, Perry. Thank you for the support. That's our founder for Unwrapped Sports right there. Shout out to Perry Aston. And basically, what's called? Tony Ferguson has made some comments. Oh, thank you. More compliments. This is great. But we got to start our headlines. We got to start our headlines, guys, because we have a major show to do. All right. So basically, Tony Ferguson made some comments when it comes to, I think it was fighter pay as well, right? Alec Carr, since you brought this up, why don't you give a little bit of insight to everybody out there?
Well, Tony Ferguson is an idiot, and we all know that. We all know this. And he said some pretty stupid things, and then he followed it up with, he called Dana White a drug-dealing bitch who treats his fighters like, pretty much saying he treats his fighters like drugs. He peddles them out, he gets them, and then he gets rid of them. Which is funny because the guy talking about that has been holding on to his UFC career by a thread in Tony Ferguson. And then he also said, we need to make more money. And then he kind of ended the interview in a Tony Ferguson fashion. I have lots of comments about this. As far as Tony goes, I think he's just. I am starting to think he's just not that bright. He also made comments of, I want to play other sports. I want to play baseball, pro baseball, like just assuming that he could play pro baseball, and because he played in high school. That's not how it works. Pro baseball is one of the hardest sports to actually make it to the pro level. Most people don't ever make it past AA that get drafted. So that's just insane. And secondly, he just doesn't understand. Like a lot of fighters don't understand. There's a reason why it's so rare there's multi-sport athletes. And boxing is a different sport. So that includes boxing, which Tony Ferguson brought up. Multi-sport athletes are rare. We've only seen that at a high level. We've only seen Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders, really. In all honesty, I mean, Russell Wilson has always joked about playing baseball and technically got drafted to the Texas Rangers or whatever team it was. So he goes to their spring training every year and acts like he's going to play, and then it's a headline, and then he doesn't play because you want to know why? Because the Seahawks won't let him. The NFL won't let him. You can't just go multi-sport unless you're good enough like Bo Jackson or Deion Sanders where you can actually do both. And Deion Sanders actually, if you guys know anything about that, he did do both, but he would often miss MLB games. Often. He often wouldn't play. He would take many days off. Not like he was – now, famously, he did play an NFL game and then took a flight to play I think he was playing for the Cincinnati Reds, take a flight to join the Cincinnati Reds at that team. That was very famous, and it never happened before. It was fucking insane. But that's rare, and there's a reason it's rare. It's because the teams, the league, the owners, and your teammates don't want you to fucking do it. They don't want you to do it, and you can't do it because you're obligated to your sport. You signed a contract. And in that contract, it states that you can't just imagine. So I work in sales, right? I work in sales for a manufacturing company. Imagine if I went to another company and said, I want to work in sales for this company too. They're also a manufacturer, but they manufacture different things. I would get fired. It wouldn't even be a question. It would be like, you don't work here anymore. They wouldn't even say, hey, man, like, you can't do that. That's not okay. They'd be like, no, you signed a no-compete clause. You signed your contract. You can't do that. You're gone. And that's how it would work. And that's how the real world works. And these fighters have they have bad advice coming to them. And it's pretty clear. And we're going to get into that when we talk a little bit more about fighter pay. But Tony Ferguson is just a moron. He's just a moron.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, Dustin, if I could, like, make your face a meme when Alec was talking about how Tony was saying this and that, it's hilarious. I just wanted to say that because your facial expressions were just on point. But basically, my little 2 cents about that is, like, Tony Ferguson, I don't know what's wrong with you up in here because clearly you're not making sense. You're spitting out, like, really just you're dissing your boss, and you're it's ironic because your career is literally holding on by just like one fight. I don't even know how many fights you have left. You're basically the reason why you're on this card is because you have some, like, people like you, so like people will go and watch Tony fight right now, but like a lot of fans are starting to realize that he's not that bright, like Alex said, and the fact that of the matter is that his career is going downhill. Let's go. I'm gonna wait till Dustin lights his cigarette, and then we're gonna go to Dustin to talk about what he thinks about what Alec brought up with Tony.
What a fucking idiot. Like, if I was a reporter in that crowd, I would have been fucking crying laughing. Like, if you're my colleague and you're a reporter, do not look over at me when Tony's talking, because I am going to be hysterically fucking dying. I didn't even know he said the professional baseball thing. Tony, you got about as good as a chance playing pro baseball at a high level than a guy that's 4'10" and can't dribble playing in the fucking NBA. That's about as much as your fucking chances. Let's be real. You have zero shot in any area in the MLB. Any area. I don't give a fuck if it's rookie ball. They wouldn't even let you in that. I mean, you can go play like some spring leagues with your friends. That's about all you're getting, buddy. You're not even fucking close. And as far as calling his boss a bitch, the only way I'd call my boss a bitch is if I really thought he was one and I was on my way out the fucking door quitting. That's when I do it. Like, if I was going to do it. If he wants to quit the UFC, none of us will have a problem. Me, I'm gonna be like, peace. Like, I don't give a fuck. And then he said, I don't even like Dana White. Like, I like Dana White, but there's things about him that I hate. When he said the Dana privilege shit, I was like, dude, you're on the list. You're on the list. If you were anybody else, you'd be in fucking Bellator. You'd be in Bellator right now. No cap. And PFL wouldn't even want you because you're a fucking head case. Guarantee they wouldn't want you. So the only place you gonna land is if one, for some reason, thinks that you're cool, and Bellator is desperate, and they'll probably just take you either way. No other major reputable organization MMA is gonna deal with you. Not one. I'd rather chew glass than sign fucking Tony Ferguson to an MMA deal. I'd rather chew glass. You mean when the Grinch was chewing that shit in that movie? That's exactly what I'd look like if you asked me to do that. And I'd be like, I'll take some cuts. This dude is fucking unbelievable. And comparing him to a drug dealer, that don't even make sense. That don't even make sense. He deals them like drugs. I mean, you would know, Tony. I could tell because you've been on this shit. You've been on that strong shit. I don't know what it is, but you've been on it. It's not stepped on, buddy. You would fucking know. You would know. So, dude, this dude's weird. He's weird. I feel bad. I think he's damaged. I think he's actually has a mental issue. So I shouldn't be joking about it. But at the same time, I am, because he's so serious about it. It's not even a joke. He's sitting there believing this dumb shit. So yeah, we can move on from Tony. I can't.
Yeah, just to let everyone know, Tony Ferguson is fighting this weekend, and we'll obviously get to that. But this is the part of the show that I absolutely love, because we got two juggernauts to the right and the left of me that are going to not battle it out, but basically we're going to have a discussion about fighter pay. And if anybody knows, just a little disclaimer, we've talked about fighter pay basically extensively on the show, but it's really important, and I know Alec has gone to do a bit more research on fighter pay and how important it is to talk about nowadays. So I'll start with Alec. Alec, what have you gathered from your research on fighter pay?
So to first to preface, I have a few things to preface. One, this got brought up because of the Tony Ferguson stuff. It also has been being brought up more and more. It's also being brought up by younger fighters who are now realizing that they gotta do work to earn more outside of the octagon. They have to have a persona. They have to have some kind of gimmick. They have to have, social media presence. Look at Sugar Sean O'Malley. Look at Kazmat Chimaev. Look at the Patty Pimblett. Like all these guys. Izzy Adesanya is doing it. Like, look at all these guys that are doing it the right way. They're making money. That guy, we talked about him last time, the Russian fighter Mikhailov, signing with Paradigm got him a $20,000 pay bump as a prospect. So the younger fighters are starting to get it, and that kind of encouraged me to do a lot more research about this, because this is my other preface. All fighters deserve more money. I'm saying that right now. All fighters deserve more money. And all the arguments I'm about to make are based on the fact that they deserve more money, but we have to base it off the numbers they're making right now, because that's the numbers they're making right now. So that being said, there's been a lot of back and forth, and this also got brought up because of Dana White's comments recently saying that boxers are all fucking overpaid. The top flight boxers are all overpaid. He made that comment on Daniel Cormier and Ryan Clark's podcast.
I saw it. I watched it.
It was a great podcast, and if you listen to his whole comment about it, it actually kind of makes sense. Now, if you listen to just the snip of all boxers are fucking overpaid, then it doesn't make sense. But he actually explains what he means by that. But
I know what he said already. He said it 10 times. This is the most famous one.
Yeah, and I'll get there. The whole idea, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because it's been brought up so many times, and because the whole idea that boxers make more money than UFC fighters, after doing more research, is actually only true for the top flight guys. Looking at it, the undercard guys in boxing actually make less than the undercard guys in the UFC. A lot less. Actually, some of them don't make any fucking money. And they're pro. Not that they don't get a payout and then spend it all over to their managers and stuff like that. They just don't get paid. But they're a pro fighter. UFC fighters automatically, and this is what Dana's trying to do. He's trying to build a league. He's trying to build an MMA league. That's what he commented that in the podcast. He's trying to build an MMA league. He's not trying to be boxing. He doesn't want to be boxing. Boxing has too many fucking promotions. It's got too many belts. It's got too many just everything. It's just everything. There's no boxing leagues. There's no boxing it's just promoters and chaos and the zone and money laundering. Like literally lots and lots and lots and lots of money laundering in boxing. After you do your research, it's pretty fucking crazy how you can't the money just disappears after a certain part. You try to track the money, it just goes away because it's money laundering. DAZN is owned by a Russian oligarch who literally just they lost $1.9 billion last year, and he invested another $4.5 billion back into the company so it didn't go out of business. Where'd that money come from? Where'd it go? It's money laundering. He's taking his cash and cleaning it because he can do it in large amounts. Anyway, so I just, for one, I'm getting a little fed up with a lot of these fighters like Francis Ngannou, Tony Ferguson, some of these guys, not really Tony, because Tony had a gimmick. Tony had a thing that got him paid more than normal fighters. But, Francis Ngannou, and then I can't think of any off the top of my head, but these guys who complain, like Tyron Woodley used to complain about fighter pay all the time. A lot of these guys used to, but you don't earn it. Like, you don't earn it. And also, the difference between boxing and UFC is, yes, I understand the biggest boxers are making $100 million, and the biggest UFC fighters are making $700,000. If Francis fights twice a year, that's $1.4 million. And he does no other outside stuff to earn him more money. There's $1.4 million made, and he lives outside the U.S., which means it's very tax-friendly to him. And he's making most of his money in the U.S., and this is where my research led me, is looking at international taxes and stuff like tax codes and different things. There's a U.S. tax code that says you're exempt of if you're a foreign alien or whatever you want to call it, making money in the U.S. and then living somewhere else, if it's over $100,000 paycheck, you are tax exempt, meaning you are not being taxed on that money. So these fighters, like Francis Ngannou, that come out and say, I'm being taxed, I'm being this, I have this to pay, I have that to pay, I'm making $750,000, but it's really $500,000 because I have to pay all my dues. Shut the fuck up. Honestly, shut up. Just shut up. You want to earn more money? Do something. Do something about it. Get your persona out there. Get your name out there. Fucking buy. So you're earning $1 million a year as a champion. Buy a company. Make a company. Build a brand. Francis Ngannou, you love suits. Build a clothing line. Build a suit line. You have the money. You have the capital. You literally get $1 million a year. Do something with it. Stop blaming Dana. Stop blaming the UFC. Stop saying guys like Conor got privileged. Conor went out and made his fucking money. He makes more money off the outside of the octagon. Conor McGregor has no reason to ever fucking fight again. Guy's worth $500 million and he's still stepping into fights. It's crazy. It blows my mind. It blows my mind that he still wants to fight. He makes way more money off of his business ventures than he ever did in the UFC. Go do something with the money. Make Dana pay you more. Make him pay you more. And the other thing that people don't talk about, UFC boxers make more money because of the way the boxing is formatted, the structure of boxing. UFC is one promotion. It's one promotion. When you try to look up what the boxing industry is worth, there's nothing. You can't find anything. You can't find anything because it's a whole bunch of different companies building into a pot that pays someone $100 million. Now, I'll tell you this. None of those guys deserve $100 million because they are not generating that in revenue. Every time a guy like Canelo Alvarez steps in the ring and he gets paid out $100 million, guess what? The people who put on the fight lost fucking money. They lost money, but they make it up based off of bets because of gambling and how involved it is in gambling. So it's a different structure. The UFC is not worth that much. They can't pay someone $100 million. Well, they can't pay someone $100 million. They could pay someone 25, 30, definitely. Definitely. Francis Ngannou should probably be getting $15 million for every fight that he fights because he generates that much. He generates that much revenue. Conor McGregor should be, when he steps in the octagon, it should be for no less than $50 million. because he generates that much back revenue and then some. So that's how you have to look at this, and that's how they have to look at this. But these fighters are getting, and the other aspect of this, and Dustin, I know you got lots of comments to make, and so do you, Moni, and I'll stop with this, and then we'll probably come back to me at some point. But the other thing that's not involved in this is that the managers in UFC are fucking robbing their fighters. Allah Abdanabi, whatever the fuck it, not Abdanabi, that's the Sixers announcer. Ali, I can't think of his full name right now. He is robbing his fighters. He robbed Khabib for all of Khabib's career. Khabib should have been worth way more money coming out of the UFC. He's taking 20 to 30% off of everything. That's not just his purse. That's all endorsements. That's all kinds of different promotions he does. That's off of the Reebok money that he earned. That's off of fucking every penny that Khabib earns. He owns 30% of it to Ali. Robbery. They're getting robbed. And somebody like Conor McGregor, who started Paradigm Sports, is about to fucking change that because they are not robbing fighters. All right, I'm done for now. But I just want to say, fighters do deserve more money, but I'm tired of this comparison to boxing. When the poorest boxers, the poorest pro boxers are making less than the poorest UFC fighters. Yes, I understand that there's pro fighters living in their gyms, living in their cars, and that's fucked up. It's so fucked up because they're entertainers. They shouldn't have to be doing that. They're entertaining us. But there are also boxers doing it. There's actually a hell of a lot more boxers doing it than UFC fighters. And it's both fucked up. And they all deserve more money. But I don't want to hear I'm tired of hearing some of these UFC fighters complain. That's it.
All right, I'm going to go on to Dustin. Dustin, do you have any comments about what Alex said? Obviously the research and then obviously his opinions. What do you have to say about that?
So we'll start. See, honestly, I actually expected way worse from Alec. I'm not going to lie. I was expecting something way worse and more kind of outlying. He's not lying. I mean, when it comes to the bottom of the barrel of boxing, what people also need to understand about the bottom barrel of boxing is it also depends what card we're talking about, where it's being put on, who's putting it on, and what stage it's on. Because if you're a low-level pro boxer, I'll tell you right now, you're only getting paid. Dude, you're lucky to make $1,000, $2,000 a fight. But in the MMA world, first of all, everybody needs to understand is UFC is not the low level of the MMA world. Not even close. UFC is the NFL. So guys should be getting paid. I don't want to hear people say that UFC fighters are the low. They're not. If you're in the UFC, you're in the top percent of MMA. Top percent. If you're a low-level boxer, dude, you could be out of a gym across the street. You don't deserve $20,000. Not even close. If you didn't have an amateur background, if you weren't in Golden Gloves, if you haven't won the Olympics, if you haven't done this, you haven't done that, they're not giving you money. They're not giving you money. You're a no-name. You want money? Looks like you're going to have to win and bust your ass for the next 3-4 years and go 21, 22-0, and maybe they'll start talking. When it comes to the low level of boxing, when people compare the two pays, UFC ain't the low level. How about let's go to the regional level? Let's just say, okay, I'll put it this way, a Texas regional level, Ohio's regional level, because I know people that have fought in them. They don't get paid shit. That is literally the equivalent of a low-level boxer. That is what we need to compare. Regional, just not very experienced, not very decorated. It's not like these guys are big names. They're not. They're basically gym rats that are turning pro. Some people do it. Some people don't. They wait until their amateur career gets a little bit bigger. The only bad sentiment I have with the UFC and how Dana talks about boxing is the fact he always makes fun of how boxing runs. There it's like going out of business sale, this and this. Well, first of all, boxing is ran, again, not by just a big-ass league. It's ran by a bunch of rich figureheads that have fighters in their stables that are in the top 5, the top 10. Dude, top 5 fighters can be in 3 different promotions, and they have to agree to let these guys fight. They have to agree. So therefore, the reason why the pot gets so bigger in boxing is because it's damn near like a auction. Because they know when they put on a big ass pay-per-view card with 2 big name boxers, shit's probably gonna do well. You put Floyd Mayweather with Pacquiao, oh, bro, it's over with. They made 4 million PPV buys, and at $100 a pop. And Floyd got paid like $325 million, as he should. Now, if you're gonna ask me about Canelo, I have a bad opinion about Canelo. I don't like Canelo. So I'm actually not very objective about it. I don't think Canelo should make as much money as he does. There's boxers that should have, though. There's boxers that should. Muhammad Ali should have made all his money. I don't care. I don't care if Dana's crying that his top fighters didn't get paid shit, and this boxing head that's world famous that's getting paid $300 million is what it is. Now, but also you have to look at the pay-per-view cards. This is what people don't get about boxing. When they put on a big-ass pay-per-view card, the guys that are fighting under the main event on a large pay-per-view card are making a little bit more. Now, not a lot of people like to watch the boxing main card. I'll be honest. Not a lot of people wait until like midnight to see again like Floyd fight. No one likes to watch the rest. But those guys under him are making money. It's not like they're these new guys that are, starting out that are on that card. Dude, these are probably they're former world champions. They're guys that are in the top 10. There's guys that are actually fighting on that card that are known, and they get compensated. Now, on these ESPN small little fights they put on, like the UFC, it's almost like UFC Fight Night, like in Vegas. They do that too. If you really pay attention to boxing, it comes on a lot. It's just the fact, again, those guys aren't getting paid either. But neither of these guys are fighting on Vegas cards. These guys aren't making much either. 20 grand at the most. And that's without the main event probably making a little bit more because it's bigger guys. But UFC has 700 guys under contract. This is supposed to be the NFL of MMA. You should not have 750 guys. Makes no sense to me. And if people are gonna argue they should pay all those guys, no, they should. No, they shouldn't. First of all, I guarantee about half of them shouldn't even be there. A lot of them are probably projects that Dana's recruiting while they're young. If you actually go the way boxing does it, these kids ain't making shit until they're more experienced and they're undefeated or they're winning world titles at other organizations. That's how you get big. You don't get big by just, yeah, bro, we'll sign you and let you fight, in the top portion of our sport. Not how it goes. And UFC is the top portion of the sport. I am not comparing UFC to a start-out boxer because they're not start-out fighters. This is the roughest organization to be in MMA. It's like a fucking Shark Tank. No, I'm not. And then Dana White's sentiment. First of all, the reason he might not like boxing is, first of all, because in boxing, not one person can control pay. Not one person. Dana is at the figurehead of MMA. He can control and cap out what his fighters make. And if he is telling you that he cannot pay these guys more and can't give them way more money, he's fucking lying.
I just want to say this is not to interrupt you, but they get paid. The UFC fighters are making more money than the payout. Dana White gives undisclosed bonuses to guys all the time. He'll throw out an extra $50,000 there, an extra $100,000 there. Now it's still not enough.
That's none of my business. He's not giving 50 grand to his ranked number 50 fighter in the division.
But to be fair, Dana and the UFC are also paying. They paid in 2021 256 fighters. 256 fighters. Now, not all of them are in the official UFC roster, but they're like you said, they're projects fighting elsewhere. Dana White has backdoor deals with other promotions that he's like, you're gonna use this guy. You're gonna fight this guy at Cage Warriors. He's gonna be at Cage Warriors, and then when he's ready, I'm gonna take him. And I'm gonna pay him. I'm gonna pay him. You're not gonna pay him, Cage Warriors. I'm gonna pay him.
But he should.
What?
He should.
I don't disagree with you, but he's keeping these guys all. You say that, but you're that 256 fighter. You're damn grateful for that extra 10, 20 grand that year.
Tough shit. You're the 256 fighter. Tough shit. You gotta earn money. When I started out in my
they're all earning money though. They're fighting. It's not like they're inactive. They're still fighting. They're fighting.
Like I'm saying, your lowest guy does not deserve a bunch of money, and especially in fighting. It's not how shit goes.
So here's my point. Here's my point. We hear these bigger fighters complaining about it, right? We hear Francis Ngannou. I'm going to break him up again because he's the biggest jackass of them all. You hear Francis Ngannou complaining about fighter pay, that he wants to go box Tyson Fury so he gets a big payday, which is fucking stupid because it wouldn't even be that big of a payday because Tyson Fury doesn't get as big as paydays as Floyd Mayweather used to.
I you that in England, just in England, his last fight, he got 1 million pay-per-view buys, which is
no, I know. That being said, you hear him complaining. Somebody go talk to that 256 guy. Somebody go talk to him and say, "Am I making? Or is the UFC paying you?" Go talk to that guy who's being able to afford an apartment. I'm sorry, Dustin. I get it. They all, and again, Francis Ngannou deserves more than $700,000 a fight. He does. He absolutely does, and I would never argue against that. But I don't want to hear millionaires complain about not having enough money. I just don't fucking care about you. I don't care about you. I think it's cooler that Dana White is taking that 256 guy and giving him a $10,000 paycheck every time he fights in a different promotion. That's fucking awesome. That's what's not talked about. I don't care about Ryan Bader complaining that he made $1 million once a year because he fights the fucking low-level Bellator champions in the heavyweight division. Shut up, Ryan Bader. Shut the hell up. If you fought more in the UFC, guess what? You would have earned more money. If you had 3 fights a year on your $100,000, you probably would have earned more money. Because guess what? You lose that Bellator championship, you don't get $1 million. You don't get even close to $1 million. Bellator is on the ropes. The only one that's not on the ropes is PFL, but they're on their way. Like the UFC, and to your point, Dustin, about the boxing and how it's ran and the UFC's ran the wrong way, there are pluses and minuses to all of that. The way boxing is ran and the way the boxers have so much power is killing boxing. There's because of the way the boxers have power, there are all these different belts being made up that are fucking meaningless. There's a guy, anyone ever hear of Mario Rodriguez? Anybody? Anyone ever hear of him?
The titles you're talking about, I'm going to tell you the titles. First of all, again, I understand what you're saying and I get what people are saying. No one cares about those. The only titles that actually matter are the major world titles. All the shit everybody else sees, no one cares.
Of course, but these titles were made because the fighters have so much power. That's my point. So yes, it's great that the top guys are getting paid more, but the bottom guys are getting fucked. They're getting fucked because of it.
Become Canelo. I don't know what to say.
Not everybody's Canelo, man. Not everybody's got that talent, but you got enough talent to be a pro fighter. My point is, if you don't know who Mario Rodriguez is, I read this whole article about him, and I have it pulled up. Mario Rodriguez is, I think he was a middleweight champ. He is the minimum weight division. He was cutting hair. He's the champ of he's got a belt, and he's earning enough money. There's so little money that he is a fucking barber on the side.
Yeah.
That's the problem with boxing. These top guys are earning hundreds of millions of dollars, but the bottom guys are earning nothing. The UFC is trying to be different. They're not trying to pay the top guys $100 million. Because they won't have the bottom guys. It will kill the sport, just like it's killing boxing.
Boxing is surviving just fine. I don't know why people say boxing.
It's not, dude. And Dana White runs a line. Almost every single one of those major events loses money, but Vegas keeps funneling money and keeps funding these fights because Vegas and the casinos and the promoters earn 20% on everything.
Of course.
So they don't give a fuck that the venue lost money. They don't give a fuck that the owner of the venue lost money. They are screwing so many people to put on these fights. That's what Dana's talking about. When he says it's a going out of business sale, is because the fighter gets paid a shit ton of money, Vegas and the casinos make their buck, but everybody else is fucked. Everyone. And that's why boxing is dying. And that doesn't even include the money laundering fact that gets into it.
I have a very hard time believing MSG, the Mecca, is putting on fights and losing money.
MSG, Madison Square Garden? Madison Square Garden loses money on all kinds of events. You're talking to the wrong person. I have relatives that work for Madison Square Garden in the finance section. They lose money off of most of the events they put on. Not just boxing. Even a lot of the basketball games they put on, they lose money.
There's a certain reason they're still there. I mean,
Madison Square Garden earns money because of they are involved in TV contracts. That's where they earn their money. They don't give a fuck about losing money on events because they're earning money with a TV contract.
There you go.
But they don't make money on the event. They lose massive amounts of money.
They don't care when they got money rolling in. They're cool with that. It's almost like gambling.
It's just, again, you can refuse. I love boxing. I'm a purist. I love the pure sport of fighting. I love the pure sport of boxing. I do. But the product they put out does not deserve it to pay their top guys $100 million. It's just not. It's fucking not. No one in boxing, Canelo Alvarez doesn't touch Conor in PPV buys. He doesn't touch Izzy in like what Izzy will become in PPV buys. Not even close. It's not even close.
Okay, let's go. Dustin, do you have any closing arguments, comments before we wrap up this fighter pay section? We spent about 20 minutes, so that's pretty good.
Like I said, I don't refute a lot of the stuff you talk about. When it comes like these top guys making a shit ton and some of these guys not, I get it. I get what you're saying, and I get Dana wants to create a league. Not everybody's like that. Not everybody cares. I mean, that's cool. That's cool that he does. But I guarantee these top-notch elite boxers will not be like, yeah, bro, you can take like $50 million off my purse and give it to this motherfucker. That's not gonna happen. They're not doing it.
It's too late for boxing. It's not ever gonna die because of the money laundering that's involved in it. To be honest with you, criminal aspect of boxing will never let it die. We'll probably do another show on the mafia and fighting at some point because it's really, really interesting.
It's pretty deep.
You can even look at guys like Conor McGregor and the Irish Mob, and like it's very interesting the tie-ins with it. But that's a whole show. So we're not gonna go there right now.
Okay, we'll definitely, like, if we didn't have any headlines, we'll definitely do a show based on that because it's actually pretty interesting. I want to learn about it more as well. But we gotta talk about our other headlines really, really quick. They're mostly new matches that are coming out. So let's go. Robbie Lawler's name is back, and he's fighting against Brian Barberena. And I don't know what to think about this, but basically my thoughts are, this is like probably one of his last fights. I don't see him progressing too much, especially if he wants the title and be like, I think it's a little too late for that right now. And Brian Barberena, like, he's just like, he's like an average fighter. Like, he's doing relatively okay, but, nothing too spectacular. So, pretty much Lawler is facing like a gatekeeper, in my opinion. So, Alec, really quickly, your thoughts on this matchup?
Just let it be your last fight, Robbie. I love you. I love Robbie Lawler. I love him. I love Robbie Ruthless Lawler. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. retire, man. Just please, just call it quits. You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get real hurt because he's probably gonna beat Barberena because he's a way better fighter. I don't want to see Robbie Lawler start fighting top-ranked guys again. I just don't.
Yeah. What about you, Dustin? Do you have any thoughts on this fight?
I'm not that excited to see it. I mean, it'll be cool watching his pretty much, hopefully, salute party. Let's drop the gloves, retire, go do your thing. Whether that's TV, whether that's whatever you want to do. But go ahead and drop. I hope this is his last fight. It's cool they put it on the main card and all that. I hope he wins. I mean, I hope he goes out with a W, but we'll see. I mean, it's been a while, and he had his run. He's been in the UFC forever, by the way. Forever. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, hopefully he does retire.
All right, let's move on to our next matchup, which is Sugar Sean is back, and he's facing against Pedro Munoz. I'm pretty sure that's his name. And what do we think about this fight? I guess I'll start first. Sugar Sean, I'm really happy that you're back. I obviously love watching your matches, but this is going to be probably one of your toughest opponents, if not your toughest opponent that you have to face. But I think you can get it done. I think you're talented enough and you're smart enough to get the job done against Munoz. What do you think, Alec Carr?
I think he does win this fight. He's longer, better. I mean, I'm not going to say overall better, but he's longer. He's going to keep Munoz away and probably win this fight. I just real quick want to take this opportunity. Whenever we talk about Sugar Sean, we also talk about Chito Vera. I am sorry, Chito Vera. I owe you an apology. God damn, you beat the shit out of Rob Font, and you did it, and you act very classy afterwards. So I just want to. I know Chito Vera will probably never watch this, but just in case, I apologize. I was wrong. God damn, you got a lot of heart.
Good job, Alec. All right, Dustin, do you have any thoughts on this? Because this is your boy. Sugar Sean's your boy, right? So
this is his fight on the way to the top 5, in my opinion. When he beats up Munoz, I think he's going to start seeing guys like Sandhagen, and I think he'll start seeing the upper echelon because he's got his contract. Got your money, bro. It's time to go. It's time to fight. Time to get the big boys. So Pedro Munoz is going to test the roasters. That's one thing I will say. He's going to test just how good he is. I'm not saying he's going to beat him, but Pedro, he's going to be that guy to be like, all right, dude, you're stepping in that cage. Tonight's going to be a fun night.
yeah,
it's going to be. I think Pedro Munoz is going to push the pace more than people think, and he can take a shot. And he's a good fighter. I mean, this is a very good test for Sugar Sean. Do I think he's going to win? Absolutely. Sugar Sean is a sniper, dude. Sniper. Like, dude, he's a weird dude. Like when he can crack you like 3 times, and it's like so fluid too. It's almost like he was just so confident in it, and just sat back. Was like he already knew it before he threw it. Bam, 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 bam. All right. Well, hey, where's my check? That's what he does. It's really weird. Except that one young kid that took like 250.
Oh, Chris Munoz? Yeah.
That dude was weird. I have never seen that
cut.
I bet. Like, geez, like the dude, he needs to go to a doctor and see if he got some damage to that cranium. Because I couldn't imagine being punched in the face like 230 times in like 15 minutes. That's fucked. Like, I was like, geez. Yeah, dude. This is his coming out party. This is where we see if he's about to be a leader or not.
All right. Okay, and then we have 2 more headlines, and then we're going to talk about the main card in just a second. What's called the Battle of the Rafaels is happening in July. They created a new date for that. We've been waiting for this fight. It was supposed to be earlier. It was supposed to be in March or something like that, but they moved it. Now I believe it's probably, I don't know if it's in 274, 276 or something like that, but it could be. It's just in July. I know that's the new date, and basically I want RDA to do well, but Fiziev is a really tough fight for him. And we've covered this before, but we're definitely going to talk about it again. And we're probably going to talk about it again coming, towards July and when this fight's going to happen. Alikar, your thoughts quickly on this matchup?
I'm super excited for this fight. I was when it was originally scheduled. Fiziev had an injury, unfortunately, where he had to step out. It happens. RDA wasn't pissed. It was a legitimate injury. I think Fiziev wins this fight. The guy's a fucking monster, and I can't wait to see this guy fight against somebody in the top 5 in the lightweight division, because he is a stud. He's an absolute stud. So I love RDA. I think we all love RDA. I don't think there's a single fight fan that doesn't love RDA, or at least doesn't like him. Like, everybody likes RDA. Unfortunately, I think this is, you're a little RDA 5 years ago probably wins this fight. RDA this year, no.
Probably
All right,
not.
Dustin, what do you think about this fight?
I'm excited to see. He's a fancy little dude, man. He's fancy. Man, he likes that. He likes that flash knockout, dude. Like, he loves it. He's in love with it. Like, he loves the hoop shit. That's weird.
He said he's a fancy little dude.
He just is. Like, dude, I see him land shit. I'm just like, man, he was trying to get some flash points for that shit, and he's landed it like 3 times. It's not like he only gets it once. He's landed it like a bunch of. If I was a fighter and watching his tape, I'd be like, that motherfucker is not landing that on me in this fight. I swear to, if he tries to throw that, I would drop kick him and be like, stop trying to embarrass me. I think Fiziev takes it. RDA is more of a grinder. I think if he gets a hold, if RDA gets a hold and tires him out, I think maybe RDA has a shot. But if they stay at distance, Fiziev's gonna put it on him, dude. It is what it is. He's about to get hit with some shit. So we'll see. I'm taking Fiziev, but I'll stay on RDA. Might have a shot if he grinds him out a little bit and smart. If he's smart.
All right, and finally, last but not least, we have a fight that I am not excited for whatsoever. We got Paula Costa versus Luke Rockhold. Who fucking cares? I don't care about this fight. Paula Costa to me is a moron. Like, he literally hasn't changed his ways. He says he's ready, and he looks like he's training, but is he changing his ways? Probably not. Luke Rockhold, I haven't heard that name, I feel like, in months, which is probably true because, like, where has he been all this time? Not really caring about this fight. Middleweight has a problem in that division, like, trying to get people that are, like, higher ranked to go and face Izzy, because Izzy has, like, no opponents right now, maybe 1 or 2, but literally some people that he's beaten already. So what do you think, Alikar, about this fight? I can see from your face you're not that interested compared to, like, when we talk about the Rafaels. You're speechless, man.
Fucking Luke Rockhold. Are you serious? He's not even ranked. He hasn't fought in like 2 years. And he gets knocked out by, like, you could breathe on him real hard and he gets knocked out. Luke Rockhold? Luke Rockhold. We're gonna be forced to watch Luke Rockhold, not Nazarena Amanov, not Uriah Hall, not Darren Till versus Paula Costa. Luke Rockhold, from not fighting, unranked. Last time we saw him, looked fucking awful. We have to see him fight a top 5 opponent? Why? What has Luke Rockhold done to deserve this? That's my thing. Fuck this. This is what Dana White has my respect as a business, as a business person, as a marketer, in a lot of different ways. He has my respect. This shit, when he does this shit, Luke Rockhold, I can't. I won't be watching this fight. I won't be. I don't care. Paula Costa's going to knock him out. And if Paula Costa loses to Luke Rockhold, fucking give him his pink slip and tell him to get out, because that's embarrassing. Luke Rockhold, you should knock him out in 10 seconds. The guy sucks. He's not a good fighter. He believed his own hype. He smelled his own shit. And he fucking loves himself some Luke Rockhold. I'm done. I'm done. Otherwise, I'll talk for an hour about it.
Okay, Dustin, do you have any comments on Luke Rockhold versus Paulo Costa?
I took Luke Rockhold's card when he got knocked out by Michael Bisping. If you get fucking knocked out by Michael Bisping, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. I just don't. Now, Jan did lay him the fuck out. I ain't gonna lie. I respect that. Okay, it's Jan, bro. It's Jan. Like, he's been knocking people out for a little while. I get that one. But when you get knocked out in the first round by Michael Bisping, you're not going to walk past that and act like that shit didn't happen. And not only did you get knocked out, you got beat twice by Michael Bisping. Twice. GSP took 3 years off and came back and whooped Michael Bisping's ass. 3 years off. He was on vacation, drinking fucking just shots. The GSP was over there chilling, probably doing karate somewhere. Dana's like, "Hey, you want to come whoop this dude's ass so you can get him off? You get him off my shit." Like, I'm sick of it. Like, honestly, if I was Dana, I would have called GSP. Like, look, you got to do this for me. You got to do me a solid. I know you've been off for 3 years, but I need you to whoop this dude's ass because I need to get this division passed. I need to switch that belt. That was probably the one time Dana was like, "It's okay to bring in a hired gun to get the belt off somebody," because he's like, "I'm tired of this shit." I would have been too.
Alex, you want to say?
Real quick, Luke Rockhold hasn't fought since 2019. He hasn't won since 2017.
Oh my god.
Why is he here?
Shit.
And it was against David Branch. He beat David Branch. Cool.
Is Paulo
Yeah, I
Costa?
know, right?
Is Acosta that bad? Is that the opinion of that Dana has of Paulo Acosta?
No, Paulo Costa won't take a fight. That's what it is. The guy won't take a fight. And he's got to stay active. He's under contract. So Dana's got to give him somebody because it's just a waste of fucking money if he doesn't.
I'd say, but Luke Rockhold, if Paulo Costa does not knock out Luke Rockhold, I agree with you. Like, we should just take his contract. Like, I believe we should hand him off to somebody else. And because if you don't knock out Luke Rockhold, especially with knockout power that Acosta does have, I mean, it's not like he's weak. I mean, that dude can put somebody out. If Michael Bisping can do it and you can't do it, like, you should probably sit at home and be like, my life's fucked up. Like, this is embarrassing. He took my fighter's card. I can't show up to the gym because guys are making fun of my ass when I get there. Like, I would make fun of him a little bit. You know, if he was I'm like, damn, Luke Rockhold got glass for a chin. You couldn't even break that shit. Hey, go punch my window. I know you ain't gonna do shit to it. No, dead ass. If he does not knock out Luke Rockhold, I don't know what to say. You know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what could happen, in the sport. So hopefully that happens. But I don't really care about this fight. But thankfully, we are done our headlines, and we can finally move over to our preview for UFC 274. That's right. We got about, I think it's 5 or 6 fights that we are going to be previewing. The first one is we're going to start with our lightweights. We got Donald Cerrone. That's a name you haven't heard in a while, versus Joe Lauzon, which, again, another name you haven't heard in a while. So who do I think is going to win this fight? I think I've given up on Cerrone since probably like last year. Not going to lie. It's just he hasn't been on his game. He's been staggered. Like, his record's been staggered. I don't even know the last time he won a fight, and maybe he won recently, but I definitely have Joe Lauzon. Donald Cerrone should win this fight, but it's just that I've given up on his career pretty much, so I'm picking Joe Lauzon for this fight. What about you, Alec Carr?
So real quick, I always do this when there's a lame-ass fight on the main card. There are 2 undercard fights that everyone should tune into. There's Brandon Royval versus Matt Schnell, which is going to be a hell of a fight. And then there's Randy Brown versus Chaos Williams, which is going to be a hell of a fight. So please make sure undercard guys deserve your attention. So please make sure you guys tune into those fights. This one, the Dana White pretty much already called it a pink slip fight. Whoever wins this fight stays in the UFC. Whoever loses this fight is gone. My thing is, whoever wins this fight should get out of the UFC because they should both retire. No matter who wins, they should retire on a W. I think Donald Cerrone takes this one. I just think he's a better fighter. I understand what you're saying about his whole we haven't seen him, but he's been fighting top with he still fights tough fighters. He has been, and Joe Lauzon just doesn't. So that's the biggest difference. And Donald Cerrone, I'm sorry, I'm always gonna go for Cowboy. I just am. He's just a cool dude. But I hope if he wins this fight, he takes off his gloves and he retires.
Okay, Dustin, do you have any comments on Cerrone versus Lauzon?
I've been thinking about this shit for a while. I think that Donald Cerrone, you didn't hear it from me first, has some embarrassing photos of Dana cross-dressing or something.
Yeah, man.
He's got to. If Tony Ferguson talked about the Dana White privilege and then mentioned Donald Cerrone, I probably would have been like, you beat me.
Yeah.
Checkmate. King me, checkers. I don't give a fuck what game we're playing because he's got to have something on him. There's got to be something, some photos. Dana, don't be embarrassed. We won't judge you. We'll trade Donald Cerrone retiring. Look, I understand he's fought tough fighters, dude, but he's gotten his ass completely just turned upside down by these good fighters. We're not talking like he put up some big ass fight. He got his ass whooped on multiple occasions. And Donald Cerrone is a legend. He's supposed to be up there for contention. He's supposed to be up there. What's killing me? That Dana begged Chuck Liddell to retire and paid him to retire. You need to do the same thing to Donald Cerrone. Because if he doesn't want to stop fighting, you need to do something. Because this is not good. This is just not good.
I think he did, though, because Donald teared up when he was asked the question, is this his last fight? Now, he didn't answer it, but he teared up. He definitely cried a little bit. I think this is his last fight, no matter what.
Well, hopefully so. We are going to move on. Speaking of people that should have their last fights, we have Mr. Shogun Rua versus Ovi St. Preux in our next fight, which is a light heavyweight bout. Man, I haven't seen Shogun fight. Maybe I think his last fight was probably last year or the year before, but man, I haven't heard that name in a while.
I'm guilty of being a fangirl of Shogun. I've loved Shogun.
I love Shogun too, and I think personally I want him to win this fight, but Ovi St. Preux should win this fight, in my opinion. But I do want Shogun to win this fight. If he does, speaking of people that should retire, he's been up there, he's been doing his thing for a while. I think it's almost time, or probably is time for him to retire. What do you think, Alec Carr?
I hope this is his last fight too. I hope it's both of them. I hope it's St. Preux's last fight too. They're both old. St. Preux hasn't won since 2020, when he fought the overrated Alonzo Menifield. And Paul, the last time we saw Raw, now he beat Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira in 2020. Now they were both old, so he lost to Paul Craig. He tapped to strikes. I love Shogun. I'm a huge Shogun fan. But if you're tapping to strikes from a guy like Paul Craig, you're probably done.
Yeah.
You're probably done. Now, that being said, I love Shogun. I think he does win this fight because St. Preux's got no ground game whatsoever. That's the one thing we all know about St. Preux is he cannot go to the ground. So I think Shogun, we see a vintage Shogun, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, high-level black belt. He just had a grappling match not too long ago. I don't know why it's not on his Tapology, where he absolutely dominated his opponent in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he looked like Mauricio Shogun Rua. I think we're going to see that. I think we see a submission here in the first 2 rounds. And hopefully he takes off his gloves. This fight should not have been scheduled. Honestly, this fight should be Randy Brown versus Chaos Williams. It should be.
But Shogun, he sells. That's the reason why he's on the main card, right?
Because the fight fans like us.
Yeah. No, exactly. All right, Dustin, I know you like your Shogun. So do you think he's going to win against Ovi St. Preux?
Well, I mean, obvious ain't proof sucks. So
Yeah.
I hope so. But I'm gonna be real about Shogun. He should have hung it up a long time ago. Love him to death. Because I'm gonna tell you, he's not like Donald Cerrone, in my opinion. He has nothing to hang his head about. He was a Pride. When Pride was at the height of its promotion, he was whooping that ass. Whooping that ass. That dude was whooping that heavyweight, light heavyweight, just whipping that ass. Came to the UFC, didn't stop whipping that ass. He was a light heavyweight champion. He knocked out Lyoto Machida when Machida was on his prime run. He has nothing to hang his head about. No idea why Shogun hasn't retired yet. But as a fan, as a little part of his fan club, I'm pretty excited to see him fight again. I don't know why, but it's pretty dope. I'm biased. You know, don't listen to me because you probably should listen to Alec. This shouldn't be on the main card. you should listen to Alec on that one. I ain't gonna argue that one. I as like a smart person, I'll agree. As a fan, as a part of his fan club, I don't agree. I'm actually pretty stoked. But
All right.
he should.
Yeah, exactly. I think we all agree on that. That's for sure. Speaking of things that we agree on, we probably will agree on the winner of the next fight, which is a lightweight fight. We're talking about Michael Chandler versus, yes, I'm saying his name again, Tony Ferguson. And I'm just gonna give it to Alec because I already know what Alec is gonna say. So I'm gonna give it to you first.
I don't think you do know what I'm going to say.
Maybe because here's my I will fine. I'll start then because basically Tony Ferguson, the one thing that he has over a lot of opponents is that he is very unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do. But one thing we do know is that he has really good jiu-jitsu. Also, one thing we know is that Michael Chandler is actually great at defense. Like, when it comes to especially jiu-jitsu, like, we've seen him in chokes, we've seen him in guillotines, we've seen him in so many compromised positions, and he just manages to get out of them. So the reason why I think Chandler's going to win is that he's going to use just his striking, his wrestling. He's going to use his takedown defense for sure if Tony Ferguson tries to take him down, and he's going to win the fight in my opinion. So Alec Carr, your turn. What do you think is going to happen to this fight?
Michael Chandler should win. I'm picking him. He should win. This should be his fight. It shouldn't even really be that close. The thing that we've seen Michael Chandler do since he's gotten in the UFC and since his first fight was a shocking knockout of Dan Hooker, is try to put on a highlight reel. He's tried it over and over and over again. Say what you will against Tony Ferguson. I know he's way worse than he used to be. I've always thought he was overrated personally, and you guys know that. And in fact, Monique and I and some of the old members of the UFC, the fights team, I used to get yelled at all the time for saying Tony Ferguson was overrated. But that being said, if Michael Chandler goes in there trying to put on a highlight reel like he has in every UFC fight so far, it could be a bad night for him. He could put himself in a position where he could get hurt. He could get submitted. If Michael Chandler goes in like we saw when he was champion of Bellator, when we saw Michael Chandler, if he goes in calculated and smart, Michael Chandler will absolutely annihilate Tony Ferguson. Absolutely annihilate him because there's nothing Tony Ferguson can't do. Michael Chandler's more explosive. The only thing he can do is hopefully tap him out or keep him away because Tony Ferguson has such long limbs. But Michael Chandler is a king at getting on the inside because he is undersized for this division as far as height-wise goes, not weight-wise. Michael Chandler should win this fight, but I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if he lost because he put himself in a position to lose this fight. That's what I'll be paying attention to. If Michael Chandler runs into this fight and tries to get a knockout in the first round, the one thing you can't do, you have to be calculated against Tony. No matter what version of Tony you have. Look at Drew Bronx. Drew Bronx should have tapped him out like 3 separate times, but Tony Ferguson refused to tap. Look at some of the other fights. He should have been knocked out in a lot of those fights, but he doesn't get knocked out. He just keeps fucking coming. So
Hey,
that being said,
Gaethje almost took his soul.
and yes, he did. Yes, he did. But
he's croaked.
that being said, he should absolutely win this fight. Chandler should win this fight, but don't be shocked if he doesn't.
All right, Dustin, do you have any comments on Tony versus Michael Chandler?
Michael Chandler, I'm going to tell you one fucking thing right now. If you fail me on Saturday, I have a very angry letter already written. I'm sending it. I don't give a shit.
He got a letter.
Like, you jive, motherfucker. If you lose to Tony Ferguson, I swear to God, I will. I don't know whose phone number I can get to get to you, but I'm gonna leave a voicemail. It's gonna be something. It's gonna be something. It's my birthday on Saturday. Okay, you fuck this up, I'm gonna have a major problem. We're just gonna have a major problem. I can't like you anymore. I'm signing a petition for you to go back to Bellator. You lose this fucking fight, I swear to God. You jive turkey. Getting to the actual fight, Tony Ferguson, I'm scared of Tony when it comes to fights. I don't give a shit anybody says. He's weird, and he can win. He can fucking win. I'm scared of the same thing that Alec might be scared of. I'm scared that Michael Chandler is probably going to underestimate this dude, and he's going to think that he can just go knock him out. I mean, I got some advice. You're not going to. I don't think you're going to flash KO Tony Ferguson. Not going to happen. Justin Gaethje almost took his soul, and he was still standing up. Like, I'm pretty sure that Justin Gaethje was about 2 punches away from just annihilating him. And here, stay away from the ground. Stay away from it. If you get in his full guard, again, my angry letter, my hand's going to be like writing that shit as we talk. I'm gonna write that shit. If you get in his full guard, I already know it might happen. Please don't lose this fight. I'm begging you, dude. This is probably one of the fights where I'm actually begging a fighter not to fucking lose. I can't do it. I remember when I begged Jan not to lose to Izzy so I could talk shit to Alec. It's way more important than that. It's way more important than that. Do not lose this fucking fight.
All right, so we got 2 more fights to talk about. We got the girls next. We got the women's strawweight belt on the line. We got Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza. I am freaking torn, you guys, because guess what? I love the both of them. I like Rose more. I think her striking is great. I think she knows how to just get in and out of situations really well. But at the same time, Carla just knows how to get in and get her, like, just impose her will. She is really great at her wrestling. It's like stopped a lot of fighters. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna pick Rose just because she is my girl, and I think she's probably going to just, get herself away from situations that Carla's probably gonna take her down with, and that's my 2 cents in this situation. But I don't know what's going to happen in this fight, which I am really excited about. So I'm not going to be able to, unfortunately, watch this fight because I'm going to be at a tournament. But other than that, I hope that Rose wins, and I'm going to pass it on to Alec. Alec, who do you think is going to win this women's strawweight bout?
Rose.
Yeah.
I think Rose wins. She's got a chip on her shoulder in this fight. I don't know if you guys have been watching the lead up to this, but she's got a chip on her shoulder. She lost to Carla Esparza earlier in her career, and Rose does not fucking forget. She's gonna put on a show, man. This is gonna be ugly. I really do. I think this is gonna be ugly. I think we're looking at a first or second round knockout. I think Rose is intent on absolutely destroying Carla.
All right, Dustin, what do you think about this fight?
I think Rose is probably on a different level now. To be honest, as a champion, I think she's on her way to being pretty dominant. I think she'll take care of Esparza. The way she took care of old girl last time, and yes, I was cussing her out the whole time. I was like, if you don't stop doing that stupid shit, I still remember that fight. I was going off. But Rose proved to me, she's proven to me. I was not a fan of her going to be a reigning champion. Like, I was a fan as a fighter. I didn't think she was going to reign. I didn't think she was going to keep it. She going to keep it. Carla Esparza going out. I'm just going to be honest. I think she's going to whoop Carla Esparza. I think she's probably going to end her. Not end her like that, but I think she might finish her, in my opinion.
The one thing with Rose is she learns from her losses. Like she's really good. She doesn't get cocky and think that what she did was right. She just did it wrong. She learns from her losses, and she does. And she's one of the highest fighter IQs in the entire UFC. To be quite honest with you, I don't think Carla Esparza, who's got one, like you mentioned, has one game plan. She's really good at that game plan, but she has one game plan. I don't think that game plan is going to work against Rose this time.
Mm-hmm. All right. And finally, last but not least, we have a major lightweight main event. Of course, Alec is really pumped for this. I'm pumped for this. Dustin's probably pumped for this. We are talking about Charles Do Bronx Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. Okay, I am really excited. As you can see, my hands are all over the place right now because even though I can't watch this fight, I'm going to be tuning in on the highlights for sure. And oh my gosh, I'm not going to lie. I'm actually terrified for Charles Do Bronx Oliveira, okay? Because Justin Gaethje looks really good right now. His training, have you seen him train? He looks really sharp. But at the end of the day, I think that Charles Do Bronx Oliveira is probably going to win. And yeah, I just can't see him losing to Gaethje. Just Gaethje, like, he's not overrated in my opinion, but like he has some holes in his game, and I think, you know, when it comes to striking wise as well, like Charles Do Bronx Oliveira is really, like, he's a pretty decent striker, but he can definitely get him on the ground. And then Gaethje, like, I think Gaethje is probably going to be fucked because we already saw what happened with Khabib. You know, if Do Bronx does the same thing to Gaethje, he's just going to be in a whole whirlwind of hurt, and he's going to tap. And that's what I think is going to happen. So, Alec Carr, you're, like, dancing around in your seat. You're, like, feeling really good right now. So, who do you think is going to win this fight?
Let me tell you why Gaethje's going to lose. And I love talking about Justin Gaethje. I love it. I love him. I love talking about him. I love being right about him. I've been right on almost every single one of his fights. I calls him like I sees him. Justin Gaethje has it. He's an impressive fighter. He's got fucking power in his hands like none other. He really does. But he's an overrated wrestler, and we keep hearing about this great wrestling he has, but we have yet to see it. In fact, in the Khabib fight, he put himself in a fucking he lost that fight because of him. He put himself in that position and lost the fight against Khabib. Like, what are you thinking, dude? What are you thinking? And I say this every time we do this. If Justin Gaethje proves me wrong, beats Do Bronx, you guys both know I will say I'm wrong. I will say, wow, you impressed me. I started this fight card by apologizing to Chito Vera. I am not one to hold on to say Do Bronx should have done this, should have done that. No, if he wins this fight, good on him. I say this every time we talk about Justin Gaethje. Who the fuck has he beat?
Yeah.
Who has he beat in the UFC? Lost to Eddie Alvarez. 2017 version of Eddie Alvarez. Lost to Dustin Poirier. Beat James Vick. Cool. Beat an old-ass Edson Barboza. Cool. Beat Donald Cerrone. Everybody beats Donald Cerrone now, like we talked about earlier. And beat Tony Ferguson when he's coming off of injuries. Who the fuck is Justin Gaethje beaten to deserve the credit that he gets? And this is why he's going to lose this fight. Yes, he's training really hard and he looks really good. You know who else did? Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier trained really hard and looked really good going into the fight. You know what Dustin Poirier said in his interviews? I'm winning. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. When I win the belt, I'll fight this guy next. You know what Justin Gaethje's saying? I think Do Bronx has quit. I think he did. I think he's full of himself. I think he's this. I don't think he's a real champ. Dude, you're falling into the same fucking trap Dustin Poirier did. Just because Dude Bronx doesn't go out there and talk his shit doesn't mean he isn't good. Listen, this is a guy at the highest level Brazilian. He's the best Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist in the entire roster. It's not. There's no one even close. Mauricio Shogo Rua would be close if this was 10 years ago. There's no one even close to as good as he is at Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Okay, so we take that. We take away Justin Gaethje's wrestling, right? His amazing wrestling that we have yet to see. He can't do it against Dude Bronx, period, because Dude Bronx also has amazing top game. We saw it against Dustin Poirier when he dominated the top, on top. Then you also add to the one of the best Brazilian jiu-jitsu artists of all time, you add really good striking to it. He gets better at striking every fucking time he fights. Every time he fights, he keeps learning how to use that length. This guy has, like every really good Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist, has incredibly long limbs. He does, and he can use it. He knows how to use it for leverage, but he's learning how to use it in striking too. Now, is he an elite striker? Does he have the power that Justin Gaethje does? Fuck no. Fuck no, he doesn't. But he has enough to keep him away until he can shoot that takedown. And Justin Gaethje thinks he's going to go in there and get in a striking match with Dude Bronx? Dude Bronx ain't going to let you strike, dude. He's going to take you down. And yes, you might win the first round. Actually, strike that. Justin Gaethje is going to win the first round in this fight. He's going to win it because Dude Bronx likes to take his time with that first round. He likes to learn what he's going up against. He gets hit. We saw against Dustin Poirier. He got hit with hooks. He got hit in that first round. He got rocked a bunch of times in that first round. Came out in the second round. Different fighter. He's a different fighter. Fight IQ, ground game, way better than Justin Gaethje. Then you add competent striking to that. This is gonna end out. And could Justin Gaethje knock out Dude Bronx? Sure, but I've seen Dude Bronx take shots. Dustin and Monique, you'll agree with me. That fucking shot he took from Dustin Poirier would have put 99% of UFC fighters out, and he buckled and stood right the fuck back up. That thing landed clean. Right on the button, and he buckled and popped up and was fine, and then won the fight. He climbed him. He fucking climbed him. Justin Gaethje, you're making the same mistake everybody else does. You're falling into the trap. You're gonna lose this fight. I think we're gonna see a submission in the third round.
Yeah, I love how you brought up his fight IQ, like Justin Gaethje's fight IQ. I never thought much about it, and I don't think he has really good fight IQ as well. And I think that's one of his downfalls for sure. So Dustin, before we end the show, we want your comments on this main event fight.
There's only one fighter I've seen take a shot like that and get up and win the fight. It was TJ Dillashaw. When Cody Garbrandt cracked him with that right cross, that was the meanest fucking right hand I've probably seen in a long time. And he got up. That is the only thing that probably rivals the Bronx getting his shit almost decapitated and getting up, to be honest. And I'll give him credit for that. I did not. When he knocked him down like that, I was like, shit, this is over. No. And then he got back up, and Alex Wright, he's a slow fighter. He's a slow progressed guy. And honestly, I think that comes from jiu-jitsu. I think it comes from jiu-jitsu because there's some aggressive jiu-jitsu fighters that will try crazy shit, but most of them will they'll wait you out a little bit. They'll play around for a second. I think that attitude plays in his MMA career. I would be careful playing around with Justin Gaethje. Yeah, I wouldn't duck that chin, too close. I would say that. Justin Gaethje's got some fucking soul-taking power. Tony Ferguson didn't even know what planet he was on. He probably thought he was in Mars or some shit. I've never seen a beating that bad in a man stand up. So it's a weird, because this is I like to talk shit to Alec fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna giggle my ass off if Justin Gaethje wins this shit. I'm gonna be in Alex DMs. I'm gonna be like, game time, kid. This is one of my I like to talk shit to Alec. I really hope he wins because it's gonna be prime time. Like, this is prime time talking shit. This is probably better than Izzy. Being completely honest.
But why? When I admit I'm wrong all the time.
You're not getting away. You're not getting away with that shit with me. You could do that with somebody else. I'm on you, bro. It's just how it goes. I know you're going. So they're like, oh, it's okay. You was great. And I'm like, no. Alec is like one of my siblings that I like to poke for no reason and just stuck with him. And it's awesome. I giggle my ass off when one of his fighters lose. Like when Yadong Song knocked the fuck out of Marlon Moraes, I was like, I was sitting there, I was like, damn. And I was like, Andy knocked him out in the first round. It's just fun to fuck with Alec. But to be serious about the fight, Justin Gaethje better take his time. To be real, take his time. And I will highlight that Charles Oliveira is not Khabib. He ain't Khabib. Now, if Khabib got on top of Charles Oliveira, I don't care how good you are at jiu-jitsu. Khabib would keep him on his back. Like there would be no question. He would not submit Khabib. Of course. Khabib is a fucking animal on the ground.
Khabib would keep Usman on his back. Like,
and when it comes to Justin Gaethje and Charles, I think, is better striking than people like to give him credit for. That left hook he landed on Chandler, that was pretty good. That was pretty textbook, dude. It was a straight fundamental hook that he landed, and it was great. Charles Oliveira is a very good fighter. I do agree with you that Justin Gaethje calling him a fake champion is stupid as fuck. He's defended it. He's won it. What the fuck you want him to do? Beat Khabib? You couldn't even do that. Shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You couldn't even beat the real 155 champ if he was actually fighting today. And no one could. Khabib would have dominated that division probably longer. I mean, I like to talk my shit about Khabib, but he probably would have dominated. I'm rooting for Justin Gaethje so I can giggle my ass off. But in all hearts of hearts, I love Charles Oliveira. If he wins this fight, I won't be mad at all. I would probably sit there and just clap for him because he's a real fucking champion. Someone saying he's not a real champion is so stupid. Yeah. It's so stupid.
I fucking hate when people say that because let's just talk about this for a second and then we got to go because we're way over time. He's 10-0 right now in his last 10 fights, and he beat Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier. He also beat Jared Gordon, who is no joke. He beat Nick Lentz. He beat Jim Miller. He beat Christos Skiagos, who's no joke either, in this 10-fight win streak. Last time he lost was to a streaking Paul Felder.
That was early in his career.
Right. It was before he knew how to strike. And what did he do? He fucking went out and learned how to strike. So listen, I understand there's that whole like he's due for a loss too, maybe, but he's 10-0. Like people need to put some respect on this man's name.
Charles the Bronx is the opposite of Ronda Rousey. He actually understood his weakness. And he was
It's jokes, man. I love that. All right, and because of that, we are about 20 minutes away, 20 minutes over time right now. I'm going to say goodbye, guys. Have a great fight week, and we will see you all next week. Bye, everybody.
Happy fight week.